Hi, team. Another week with Khalia, being on that journey to really find joy on the journey to competitive greatness. And Khalia, can we just celebrate that you have finished your summer season of volleyball?
I did. This past week, I'm kind of sad that it's over, but it was definitely a, a long, short season. The growth of a long season, but all condensed into one. So I'm really proud of myself and my teammates for making it through and just always being committed to the journey. But yeah, it's bittersweet to be over, is what I'll
Yeah.
say.
Well, the great part about season ending is we have lots of film that we can watch and we can learn going forward. We know you're moving to Italy in a couple of weeks to start that season. So let's just really do some reflection. And I want to really anchor in your well being because we made a commitment when you started this. It's been a 10-week journey that we've been on the journey with you. And the desired outcome was really to win well being and also focus and really anchor in that competitive great spirit. So you've been through quite the season. Let's talk about quitting in terms of how you feel, what goes through your mind. Like, do you feel like quitting? Because so many times I feel like when we talk about competitive greatness or someone's listening to an athlete like you that has greatness and goes on this journey, it feels like maybe you never, are challenged or don't feel like quitting. And I just really respect opening up in that conversation because I know in my own life, I don't want to get up every morning. I mean, bottom line is I would much rather just kind of hang out than, so I have to choose to really do the things that I want to do. And I am constantly choosing doing versus quitting or not doing. So what have you discovered about yourself in just that process?
Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful question because I do completely agree. I think about quitting a lot. Um, I think sometimes I fantasize about
Right.
quitting and like the what if I did just quit and what if I didn't have the stress of volleyball anymore. And I think something that I'm committed in my thinking to trying to change is like it is a choice to be here every day. And I've heard that from a lot of my teammates, my mentors, my coaches, that instead of saying like, oh, I have to go to practice today, like you get to go to practice and you get to choose to go to practice. I am not there yet with my thinking at all. I still think sometimes it does kind of, I don't know, sometimes going to practice and going to volleyball and even games sometimes they like feel like a punishment in a way just because I don't want to do it all the time. And there's days where I'm like, no, I really do just want to quit. And I fantasized about it. And that's the ugly truth. But at the end of the day, like I never have. So I do kind of anchor in that I've had those thoughts and I've had so many days where I wanted to quit and just didn't, and I'm still here. So like I don't know, I'm like, why quit now, I guess. But yeah, I think that's something that I probably should work on my thinking with. But if anyone out there is watching and needs some, I don't know, some, I wouldn't call my situation inspiration, but maybe needs some relatability, that I do feel that too. And even I'm committed to trying to change my thinking and make it more of an opportunity rather than a punishment.
Obligation or
Yeah,
obligation.
opportunity rather than obligation. Um, but yeah, I go through it too, and sometimes I don't know how I've lasted this long, but I'm glad that I have, and I just kind of keep choosing to be on the journey every day.
And so, Cleo, when we talk about competitive greatness, our formula for competitive greatness is truth, faith, and love.
Mhm.
So you've just described a truth. The truth is, I don't wake up every day and want to go play volleyball or really excited about a game. You do it, it's your profession, and you get your mindset and you show up for your team and you really honor your commitments. But the choice inside your heart and your mind and that self-talk is that the truth is you really have to wrestle with making the choice to show up and be that great teammate you want to be.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. I also think something for me that I personally get a lot of inspiration from is my teammates. I just like love, I know we should not complain, and like this is a conversation that comes up in like every locker room is don't complain in the locker room, and if you have something bad to say about how you don't want to be there, don't say it. But and I do completely agree that like that can fester a lot of negativity. But I think I've found some people and some teammates that like I can go to and say, hey, like today is really hard for me. And maybe it's not in a way as much as complaining, but just anchoring in truth.
right.
Like you were saying that, like I think about my one teammate in USC and now she plays professionally, and maybe that's why we kind of saw on the same level because we're both at higher levels past college now. But I would go to Jasmine and be like, I do not want to be here today. Like I would rather be doing literally anything else. And just seeing her be like, yeah, I agree. But, and like we've had this conversation how we don't want to be there, but later on in practice, I see her hustling after a ball and trying her hardest. And like just stuff like that, like really helps me maybe not do it for myself, but do it for the people that I love. And that's anchoring from truth to love, you know.
There you go. Well done. Excellent. And also, let's add the faith component, because really having faith in your teammates that you can share your truth and be able to say, hey, I don't feel like being here today, and I'm committed to being here. So that's competitive greatness. It's not that we deny it or pretend and, oh yeah, I'm so excited to be here, when nothing about your body, energy or anything is really, in agreement with that. So if we have the courage to anchor in truth and say, I don't feel like being here today, and then we step into the faith component, I have faith in my teammates. I have faith in me. I have faith in the process. I have faith in my honoring of my commitment, then I'm going to pull myself through this, right? You're just going to keep going through it rather than stop. So when you think about faith on your journey and competitive greatness, what shows up?
That's a really hard question. I am someone who really, really struggles with faith. In all aspects. That's a really hard question.
Tell us about the struggle.
I think it's hard to have, if I don't have faith in myself,
right.
It's hard to like really have faith in like anything, or like have faith in the other faith that people have for me. I guess.
Like to receive it, right? Like it's almost like you close off because you don't have faith in yourself, so you can't receive.
Yeah, and I think in a way that's what makes me competitively great, because I think there's always, I'm like, who's coming for me?
Yeah.
Who do I need to protect myself from? And like, how can I, because I don't have faith in myself. I was actually talking to my teammates about this. After like pretty much every practice, I just get reps alone. And like, I really try to like find a rhythm with my passing. And my teammates are like, you will be fine, Khalia. Like, I remember I was like, should I get reps after practice? And they were like, why do you need to do that? And I was like, it just did not feel right today. And I can't go into the next game after like feeling like that in practice. And they were like, you will be fine. Like, you need to learn how to rest and like recover. And it's not all just about getting reps and pushing so hard. And I think in a way, like me not having faith in myself really drives my competitive greatness, but I really am committed to doing that in a healthier way, because I remember talking to like a sports psychologist in college, and she was like, I do think that is a really great way that athletes push themselves, but it does lead to burnout, and like you get tired of doing that. So I really want to find a way that, I don't know, just like a healthier way for me to do that.
And has there ever been a time when you have felt that you have faith in yourself?
I feel like there's little times, because like at the end of the game, when the score is like 14-14, I'm the person who's like, yeah, I want the ball,
Right.
of course, but it's not necessarily rooted in the faith, but it's rooted in like the competitiveness
Right.
within
Yeah.
me. Yeah, that's another, you're asking some good questions today,
Yeah.
Carlette.
Well, isn't it interesting that you're really watching the intertwine between competitiveness and faith? And maybe from a new thinking perspective, if you actually thought you have great faith in being competitive,
Mhm.
because you do, like, you will not let yourself down from a competitiveness perspective. Like you do want the ball. There are other people that don't want the ball in that 14.
Yeah.
So that is your competitive greatness. And I would just, as I listen to you, I hear great faith that you have great faith in yourself to be competitively great.
Yeah. And I think that's true. And like, I'm trying to think of like another example of that. There's like a lot of these, I think I've talked to you about it. Like when I don't have the most confidence in myself, like on and off the court, as a woman, as a player, but I know I carry myself in a certain aspect where like my presence is commanding, and I don't know, once again, that kind of like goes into the imposter syndrome. I don't know like where I'm getting, like, once again, like that confidence and like that
Right.
faith to want the ball at 14-14. But I know I have it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just kind of confusing. And I think it's interesting that maybe my thinking perspective could just kind of change. And instead of, I don't know, like maybe I do have definitely a intuitive faith in myself, and I just don't even know what it feels like to acknowledge it. So yeah, that's
Well,
interesting.
what's interesting about faith is that it's unseen. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not tangible. You can't be like, okay, like I was listening to you talk about when the game is over and we've won, then it's like, I feel like I'm worthy, or I proved myself and I've kind of got something to say, see, I was worthy of that, or I did a great game today. So versus faith is unseen. So
Mm-hmm.
that's very hard for athletes who like tangible. I'll tell you I'm great when I see the stats, when I performed,
Yeah.
when I did very, very measurable things. So just starting to respect that inside competitive greatness is a component of faith because it's the unseen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like you articulated that perfectly. Like I can have faith in myself once I did the job.
That's right. Because you can prove it, right? Like you can prove that you were worthy of having faith. But when I listen to you say, I want the ball on 14, that means you have faith in yourself because you have faith that you will be competitively great. And, I've been on the journey with you a long time, and you've played through being sick. You've played through all kinds of things. To me, that is that you have faith that you will be competitively great, not necessarily faith in yourself, because I would say you haven't been that attached to you. You've been somewhat disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we move into the love component, is really loving yourself and being able to love the game and love the competition and love your relationships. That's another level. And so we really have to move into this. The truth is, I have to say, I don't feel like being here today. And I have to be in relationship with teammates and people around me that respect it and push me into having faith about being competitively great. And then we move into the love component.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I'm thinking about Brittany, and I'm like very lucky to have her on this team. And I think she's like really good at reminding me about that journey. And I just need to
Have faith.
find out how to do that without.
Yeah. It's just a new word for you. It's a new word. It's a new concept, right? Like, because a lot of times the performance barrier with faith is it's religion based, right? Like it comes up and so that's a whole nother space about really finding religion or wrestling with God or whatever's going to come from that faith definition. I just want you to watch how the definition of faith can be really confusing. Because I think in sports, we demonstrate faith all the time. I mean, you move to Italy and you have faith that your contract will be paid. You have faith that your, teammates will show up. You have faith that there'll be a coach there that'll take care of you. I mean, you move to Puerto Rico, you have faith that that contract will work out, right? So, I mean, like, I think athletes, we're showing up professionally and playing on a team where we've never even met half the people or, so we're practicing faith in a huge way.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree. I think maybe I just need to like familiarize myself with the word more. Maybe just like use it in my vocabulary every day.
We'll get some reps with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that it's like, wow, I mean, we have faith when we go to a restaurant that the food's going to be there, that the cook's going to have, done the prep work. I mean, we're constantly practicing faith.
Yeah. I'm going to use it in my vocabulary every day.
Okay, good. So you're going to notice when you have faith in other people, when you have faith in a process. When we say trust the process in our training, we're saying have faith in the process.
I literally used that word today on my jungle walk because we were lost in the forest at one point, and my little jungle partner was saying, like, do you know where we are? And I just like, I didn't want her to see me freaking out because like I took her on the walk.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I'll just trust the process. We're fine. We found our way out eventually. But
have faith. Have faith. Yep.
Yeah. Faith was big because we were definitely wandering the jungle. And I was a little terrified at one point, but we figured it out.
And there's another example of competitive greatness because you were terrified and you still had faith and figured it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about love. Absolutely my favorite. And just from a place of such joy, and yet it also can have great hurt and hardship because it's so deep. It's such a deep emotion. And we started our conversation with that feeling of wanting to quit or give up or any of those components. And really, when we have the love of the game missing, it's, it's easy to want to give up because there's really, what's my why? Why in the world am I doing this? And you went to your relationships. You went to my teammates. So when you think of love and competitive greatness, what shows up for you?
Volleyball does not. Just for everyone wondering out there, that's okay.
Yeah, that's my truth.
I just feel love for not volleyball itself, but like the things outside of it. So like my teammates, I feel love when my mom and my aunt get to watch me. I feel love like when I was in college, especially like having like senior night, for example, and like having all those people come together. And I know volleyball kind of like brought them together for me. That's really awesome. Interacting like with fans sometimes. Sometimes it's a little tiring, but I feel love. I don't know, when like I've learned that I've impacted someone's life outside of volleyball too. So like I just remember one time this like mother came up to me and was like, my daughter fought me for the longest time about going natural with her hair. And then you finally did it. And she was like, yeah, I'll do it. Now she loves her hair. And that was like probably one of the biggest, like most touching compliments I've ever received. And it had like nothing to do with volleyball. So yeah, those kind of interactions that I have outside. But I do like think, and I have appreciation for volleyball for like giving me the platform and the opportunities.
And what about self-love?
What about it, Carla? What about it?
I love that little speech you just gave us. And now let's talk about you.
I'm like angry at you. Why would you ask me that?
Why would you bring me back to truth, Carla?
Oh dear goodness. Well, I don't really know too much about self-love right now, but I do really think that I am on that journey to like really figure it out, and I'm really committed to figuring it out. I just think I'm a big relationship person. So like a lot of my love stems for relationships, and even like in my struggles outside of volleyball, just with like depression and anxiety and stuff like that, I just feel like a lot of my purpose and a lot of the things that I do in everyday life, I'm like, I don't, this is going to sound like really harsh and maybe triggering for some people, so I'm sorry, but like, I don't really care if I'm alive just for me to be alive, but I care that it would affect my mom and McKenna and my friends and family and stuff like that. So I'm still figuring out the whole self-love thing. Yeah, I'm figuring it out. But I do think volleyball really makes me confront my self-love and like really deal with those demons, because the relationship I have with volleyball and like those doubts that are brought up are just kind of like, I don't know, a parallel to like other things. And like, once again, it's another relationship that I want to figure out, and I'm committed to figuring out. And my relationship with myself is one of those things too.
And so on this new journey that you're on and your new commitment, what are you discovering as winning strategies? How are you doing this?
A lot of gratitude. I think gratitude is like just like the medicine for everything. And like I always tell this story, but when I was at USC, when we were on the bus on our way to games, we would have a circle kind of, I guess, of the people on my team, and we would say what we're grateful for. And there was this one girl on my team, she knows who she is. I would like say her name, but I don't know. I don't want to call her out. And every time we got to her, she would be like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do your stupid gratitude circle, la-di-da-di-da. And I don't, it was just like, it's really something you have to choose to do. And like every single time she did it, like I wouldn't be mad at her, but I was just like I just kind of feel sad for you. And I catch myself, there's times where like I just want to grovel in my misery and stay in it because it's comfortable in my little dark hole. But I do think gratitude is like the biggest recipe to like getting me out of it. And like there's been so many studies and scientific data backing that up. But yeah, gratitude. And just like watching film, I do think it's like really just revolutionary, because like that one girl on the team, not only did like that gratitude circle make everyone feel more connected and like grateful for opening up and sharing, but like it also just like made everyone realize like how sad it is to not take part in that. Yeah. I think my sticky notes have like really helped me in this chapter in life. I love looking up at my wall and like seeing all of my happy moments. And they just continue to grow. So like when I first started it, I just had like one sad little sticky note, and now I have a lot, like like 20 at least.
Love it.
And it's just like little moments, and sometimes I do. The other day I was like feeling so sad. And I went on a jungle walk, and usually I feel on top of the world after my jungle walk, and I still couldn't like really get out of it. And so I just wrote on a sticky note like as many things as I was grateful for. And after that, I just stuck it on my wall. And now anytime I'm feeling sad, I'm like, I don't know, I just have to look at the sticky note. I don't even have to write it.
Yeah.
So yeah, gratitude's the biggest thing. But I don't know, resting a lot, spending time with myself. Those are all big things too.
What about the commitment to really honor the change that you want and the journey to go on it? Because again, we all want the result and we all want to be competitively great. And, it sounds great. And we make these big plans. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. What have you found about just the commitment to really take care of yourself, be on the journey, show up to our calls, right? We've made a commitment that we will do this, and you've been very intentional about it, even though certainly times there's been that you haven't wanted to do it, like anything, right? So what would you say about just the component of commitment to anything that you want to change?
I think I'm really someone who like, I can't do it alone. So like, I think, for example, like these calls, like, yes, there's times where I'm like, I don't feel like working on myself today. But like having you to kind of guide me and like stay committed to that process is really helpful for me. And maybe I've gotten better at asking for help, and I appreciate myself for that. But I also just think like, I don't know, I know I'm someone who can't do it on my own. And if it was like up to me to just be like, hey, Carlette, we're meeting at this time, la-di-da-di-da. And I know like the people watching don't see like how our scheduling goes on behind the scenes, and how sometimes 10 minutes before our call, I'll be like, hey, Carlette, I can't do it. And we just kind of have to roll with the punches and stuff like that. But I think that's like something beautiful about like being on this journey with someone. Especially like in your capacity and the way that like you work with, I don't know if you call them clients. It doesn't feel like I'm just a client, but
You're not just a client. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like nice to have someone to like encourage me and kind of not just cheer me on, but I think even by like guiding me in the lessons that you do, like you're cheering me on in that way, because you're like aiding in my development.
Well, and Khalia, as you talk about it, and for those people listening that want to have a sports life coach or somebody on their team, what's really important about your support team is, number one, they care deeply for you, right? So we're in relationship, even if it is just a client. That client, we're still in a deep, committed relationship because we're committed to honoring each other. And that's really important. Even if we have to reschedule, it's done with honor. It's done with respect. There's never just a no-show or, I'm too busy or any of that. It's a commitment that we've made. So as we choose our support system, number one, we commit to being on each other's team. And then we anchor in caring deeply about each other. And then we connect on what really matters, our truth. And we have deep conversations and really respect that we're going to do this. And that's that transformational change that happens, is that it starts with a relationship, caring deeply, connecting, and then the change starts to happen. So love that you've shared this with us. Love that you've let us be on the journey. I know it's not over. We're continuing to have our weekly calls, and you being able to share just what's going on in your life so that you can give hope to people.
Yeah, and thank you for having me.
Okay, team, it's up to you for you to go out and practice being competitively great. Anchor in your truth. Practice some faith. Khalia is going to be practicing faith, doing lots of reps on faith this week so that she can really be aware of what faith means to her. And then the most important, I believe, is really anchoring in love, loving yourself, loving whoever's on your journey with you, and really loving the process of what do we want to do with this change. So thank you. And thank you for being a champion for you. Thank you, Khalia.
Bye, guys.
Bye.